That's a W.
And ultimately, a football game took place.
One team showed up.
The other had a little bit of problem.
Let's go! That's E1. This is what makes champions. Right here.
Can you feel that? Can you feel what's about to happen on this field?
I think we ain't done yet.
Appreciate you letting me get the cushion.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Arlington on this Feel Good Friday. Look at these Cowboys fans. Thank you all showing up and showing out. All right, Sunday night's primetime matchup will take place in Foxborough when Tom Brady and the defending champion Patriots take on Stephen A's new look Pittsburgh Steelers. Hall of Famer Terrell Owens still here with us. Stephen A., I'll start with you on this one since it's your team. Do you feel like this will be a preview of the AFC Championship
I think it has the potential to be. I can't underestimate Kansas City being in the equation because Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill and the crew, no doubt about it. But I do think that people are sleeping on the Steelers. You talk about wanting volunteers, not hostages. That's what Mike Tomlin's line is. I think when you look at the kind of year that Big Ben Roethlisberger has had, I think when you look at James Conner and what his potential is, Juju Smith-Schuster's no joke. James Washington's been there already. Vance McDonald, I like him a lot. Jesse James is gone. He no longer has to share those duties there. The offensive line is rock solid. And then when you look at their defense, if they're drafting Devin Bush, I think is a plus. If you're able to get to the quarterback, which I anticipate they plan on doing, I just think that the Steelers have the potential to win the NFC North, which I think will happen. You find yourself in a situation where one game, one playoff win could get you to the conference championship game. Do I think that's the potential for that? There's the potential for that? You're damn right I do.
There's a chance because when you have a coach-quarterback combination that's going to the Hall of Fame, you can never count them out. So Tomlin, Roethlisberger, you can't count them out. And obviously Belichick and Brady are always there because the AFC East is every year the worst division in football.
Yeah.
They always have a great record. All they ever have to do is win a single play. They have a bye in the first round. They win a single playoff game at home. They're in the AFC Championship game. So the Pats, highly likely they'll be there. The Steelers have a shot, but I think the Chiefs are better. I think on paper the Chargers are better. I think the Jags can be sneaky good. I think the Browns are better in their own division. I'm not convinced the Steelers are better than the Ravens. So you can't count them out with Tomlin, Roethlisberger. Even last year, they didn't make the playoffs. They were 9-6-1. They were one tie away from, like a point away from being 10-6. So you can't count them out, but I don't think the odds are very good for the Steelers.
What do you think?
I like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I like the way that what they did last year. I mean, they were just some inches from being in the Super Bowl last year.
I think if Tyreek Hill hadn't gotten suspended, they go to the Super Bowl.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Again, like I agree with Max. The Cleveland Browns, they look good on paper. On paper. If they can put those things together, then we'll see how the season unfolds. But you always got to count the Patriots in there. I agree with the fact that they always have a bye.
Mm-hmm.
They're one game. They got to win one. They got to win one game, and it's usually at home.
Mm-hmm.
And
Foxborough, tough place to play.
And then, if you look at Tom Brady the wrong way, or there's some pre-snap penalty, they'll take back an interception. By the way, let's not forget the Texans. And if everyone loved the Colts with Andrew Luck, if Brissett can hold it down, then the Colts are live too.
Well, let me be very clear. I'm forgetting about the Texans. I have no problem saying I forget about the Texans.
Right.
Lamar Miller going down, it just being about Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, even though I love both of them, the bottom line is it's not enough. Because the Clowney gone, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on them. I think Jacksonville wins that division because their defense is going to be stout. And I think Nick Foles ain't going to make the mistake that Blake Bortles made. And obviously with Andrew Luck going in Indianapolis, even though I shouldn't underestimate Tennessee that much, I'm going to pay attention to what they do, particularly in the
parity over there.
There's a little parity over there, but I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Nick Foles' influence on the Jags. Be careful.
It could be a different deal. Tara, let me ask you this about the game. So in Foxborough, Steelers come to town. No Le'Veon, no AB. They going to do anything this year?
That's a problem. I mean, we're going to see what Juju can do this year without AB. He was definitely a benefactor of AB's production last year. So normally when you have a number 2 guy and he puts up number 1 numbers, then that number 1 leaves. That's obviously you're talking about Antonio Brown. Let's see what Juju can do, put in that number 1 spot. Because there's a lot of responsibilities that goes with being a number 1 receiver. Now he doesn't have somebody to take the heat off him, and now he's the benefactor.
But he still has the same quarterback.
No, I get that, but I always remind people, Back in the day when the Buffalo Bills had Eric Mose and Peerless Price, Peerless Price put up big numbers. He wanted to be a number one receiver. Peerless Price got that big contract, went over to the Atlanta Falcons to be that number one guy. We haven't heard from Peerless Price since.
But a lot of times that's because the number 2 guy is really a slot guy who puts up numbers. But Juju Smith-Schuster has the appearance of a number 1 receiver.
The numbers say that, but now his production now without AB has to prove that as well.
On that note, perfect segue for me. Speaking of AB, this according to our Josina Anderson, we talked about the problems between him and GM Mike Mayock. Apparently, AB used disparaging language, was insulting his GM, even using the word cracker.
Right.
Gentlemen, I'll give you the floor on this.
Well, listen, the bottom line is this. Max can speak to, what that word means to men in the white community and all of that stuff. What I can tell you is that I know what AB's intent was when he said it. He meant it for it to be incendiary and disparaging and insulting and what have you. And we were under the impression that somehow, some way, Mike Mayock had a conversation with him, et cetera, et cetera. No, he was practicing, and he walked over to Mike Mayock while Mayock was watching practice and confronted the GM in front of teammates. And so when you do something that egregiously insubordinate, there has to be an action that's taken against you. And if, again, the guy that I'm watching is John Gruden, because what are you going to do? You're the $100 million man. It's clearly your franchise. Everybody knows it. An additional $18 to $20 million, according to what I was told, in terms of incentives in this contract. You brought Mike Mayock was minding his business covering the NFL for the NFL Network. That's what he was doing. You brought him over as the GM. You elected him to be that guy that you empowered. If you don't handle this and you don't support him in his willingness to suspend Antonio Brown, you basically stripped Mike Mayock of any kind of potency whatsoever.
I would say
and
this. I would say this.
Out.
The word cracker is not as offensive to white people, in my experience, as other words are to other ethnic groups, because the white population has not been oppressed in the same way, et cetera. However, you're right, Stephen, it's the intention. It's what you're going at. You hope to point out a difference culturally, racially, whatever, and use it to disparage. That's an issue. Remember when I said Antonio Brown is holding my beering himself? Like, you see something bad, hold my beer, I'll top that, right? He's doing it to himself. Right. We were just here earlier in this segment, and even though it came from the same incident, it's coming out faster. And here's what's crazy to me. This is my suspicion. Something worse will happen. Like, if they try to patch this up and he sits out a game or two and then comes back, he'll do something even worse, and it'll come in even faster. Like, he is self-destructing in front of our eyes. I think there is something wrong.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And it's clearly a lack of respect with the GM. Like I said, obviously the relationship with he and Gruden is a bit better than he and the GM. So this is something that obviously has to be rectified. For me, it hurts to hear some of the things that were being said. This is not AB-like. I know I like AB. Yeah. I'm almost about in agreement. There may be something wrong. But obviously this has to be rectified. There has to be some consequences to his actions.
Well, what do you, in light of the particulars that you just heard, what do you think should happen to him now? Do you think he should be suspended, or do you think he should just be issued an apology? He should just issue an apology.
No, I think obviously there needs to be something done. To what degree, I have no idea. Obviously there's a lot riding on this season. That's why they acquired AB. Again, every scenario is different. Teams have handled players differently. Organizations have handled situations differently. And coaches
I would embrace. Real quick, Stephen A.
He's saying that a lot's riding the season. I got to admit to you, I don't believe that. I'm looking at, listen, I don't expect you to be better than Kansas City or the Chargers.
But because of what Gruden did, what you talked about earlier, got rid of Cooper, got rid of Mack, he's got to stick with this guy. But what I find interesting, I don't want to act like AB's the devil. There's three sides to every story.
Right.
But what you said, and we talk about the word cracker, and I don't know if he's necessarily spiraling. Maybe it's just more about this, like the mission for respect, and he feels disrespected over and over and over.
He doesn't get to make that argument after getting $30 million and forcing his way up.
Absolutely, because that's what you worked so hard for. I understand, being a third rounder, you have that chip on your shoulder. Obviously, he was later round than I was. So he worked his butt off to get to the point, because he was voiceless. Until you get paid and until you have power and respect or some type of entitlement.
Right, but T.O., maybe that was the best thing that he was voiceless, because what he's saying, his voice is not resonating, or it's resonating in the wrong way. Look, this is where he is, T.O. This is where he is right now, in my view. His agent's being asked about his sanity, about his mental health. I mean, think about that. And you know where I am with it? The best course for T.O. now is to embrace that and to make it's the insanity
AB,
defense.
you mean
AB.
AB. So what did I say?
Yeah.
T.O.
Pardon me. Well, I'm looking at T.O.
Hey, I just said Boogie Cousins in the football segment.
But the point is, no, I apologize because there should be a line drawn between, this receiver had controversy, but this is completely different.
It annoys
My
me
point
when
is
people
this.
throw my name up when situations like that because I never did anything.
That's right, and all you did is ball in the Super Bowl on one leg. But this is my point. AB at this point is best served by entering the insanity plea. He needs to embrace that. When people are like, has he gone crazy? The best thing to do is say, yes, I need some help.
You guys
because
said,
otherwise he could lose his money.
You said Stephen A. he got paid. He doesn't have the right to do it, but maybe he feels like I got paid, so now I can do it because he's comfortable.
But that's the problem, and here's the other problem.
Right.
Listen, I talk to people in the league. I talk to people in the Players Association, all this stuff. There's a negotiation that's ongoing, and you have to understand how these owners think. They're looking for every excuse under the sun to justify not paying dudes.
Right.
So when you act like this, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying they'll get away with it.
Right.
But if you are AB, clearly you are thinking about no one but yourself with every action that you take. And that is what is unconscionable and indefensible.
He's
about
not
his
even
position.
thinking about himself. Think about this for a second. He's got his money.